So today we have someone who's coming on stage that I never thought I'd talk to on stage. So Julie Ward's going to come up. Yeah, Jenny back here, right here.
Well, it's not so much that you didn't expect to have me on stage. I'm just surprised you asked me to be on stage.
Yeah. You know, funny story, I didn't tell you this about that. Is I started praying a few weeks ago because I knew what the sermon was going to be today. Today we're looking at praying for our community and the importance of being a church in the community. And so I was thinking, like, when we look at pursuing Jesus, bringing others along, who's someone that's kind of like experienced that and been driving that? And your name came to my mind. But I didn't want to come to you like, hey, Julie, what do you think about sharing? So it's...
I'm kind of glad that you didn't because
Yeah.
I probably would have said, no.
Yeah. So actually how this discussion came where Julie agreed to share this morning was I found this week, I was looking through some documentation, and I found the first email I ever sent to Julie. So for those of you who don't know, Julie works full-time. She's our office manager here at the church. Been here a long time. We'll talk about that in a
Nearly
minute.
a quarter of a century. So if you're doing the math, I started here when I was at least 11.
But in that email, I asked for several things that, just to get to know the church on some things, and you sent back just talking about the community and how you really thought our church needed to start really getting involved here in Bean Creek and the south side of Indianapolis. So that kind of led to a discussion with a copier guy this week. And
Right, that's true. I'll tell you that story in just a moment. But like I said, I've been here. I started working here in 2000, part-time as a receptionist. I'd never done anything like this before. And as I started working here every day, surrounded by a lot of people that I thought were much more holy than me, I realized I was way in over my head. And there are still days when I feel that way, almost 25 years later. It has been a lot of on-the-job training. And weekly things come up. I'm like, I have no idea how to handle that. So let me go ask somebody who's wiser than me. And if I can't find anybody in the building, then I make a few phone calls or definitely hit my knees quite frequently throughout the week. So it's just been really interesting. It's been an incredible experience to have a front row seat to see all of the things that God has done over nearly 25 years. And I've worked alongside many great men and women of God. And I'm not going to go into the names. It's both past and present because I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter who gets the credit as long as God gets the glory. Amen. So that's kind of something that I learned early on here because sometimes you do things, especially when you're on staff, that nobody else sees, but God sees it. And people notice when they don't get done. How many of you get a little upset when the coffee's not ready whenever you get here in the morning? Not just me? Oh, okay. Okay, cool. You know, my family and I, we've been at Villa since mid-1994. So I lovingly call us long-termers. I call us Vintage Villa. So to all of my other Vintage Villa folk, whether you've been here for the long haul or you were here, God moved you, you came back, thanks for hanging in. It's an encouragement to me. So, you know, we have seen a lot of changes in our world. We've seen a lot of changes in our neighborhood here. We've seen a lot of changes within Villa. You know, we need to be honest about that. Faces change through the years. People move in and out of our neighborhoods. People move in and out of our church family. But the one constant that I can attest to is that the gospel never changes. It is the core of who we are at Villa. It is what we've always preached. It is where we have always stood firm. And it is where we will always stand firm.
yeah, I didn't know if I should just go sit down.
No,
oh, okay.
no.
I'm happy to do that.
I might need your support.
Okay.
You know, another thing we should be honest about, there was a time when we considered and made steps toward moving out of this neighborhood. We set our sights on a new venture, and you know, I'm really glad that God had other plans for us. Amen. I'm really glad that God kept us right here in this neighborhood because Bean Creek needs us. And through that valley, just being obedient the entire time, waiting on God to see what door he was going to open, what door he was going to close. God brought us through some valleys, but even in the valleys, he brought us blessings. And that's the way that it is in everyone's life. You can recognize God's hand. Even in the midst of a storm, you can recognize God's hand. And I just want to encourage you guys to look for that. You know, God opened up a lot of new avenues for us to minister to the people in our community. When we started We Care back up again, we started with just a very small amount of children. And now, a few years later, and it's not a testament to one person or a group of people, it's what God's done through these people here. We're running out of space. You know, God has blessed us so many times over and over again with grants to increase our size and increase the number of staff and the number of children that we can take. And we have infants all the way through preschool. We also offer before and after school services for school-age children. We've been able to partner with CCA and open up 3 classrooms upstairs for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And, you know, it's just an encouragement to me to see how God can use ordinary people in ordinary communities, in ordinary churches to do extraordinary things. And I know he's not through with us yet. You know, we've been able to reach out into this community. We have families who walk here to come to church. We have families who walk here to bring their children to We Care, to bring their children to Central Christian Academy. And we're able to be here for them through those valleys. And we're able to be here for them to celebrate their blessings as well, to come alongside them. And it's just such an encouragement. And I just want to tell you about, Pastor RT had mentioned, I had a vendor come in last week. And it's a company that I've dealt with for a very long time, but it was the first time he'd been in the building. He stopped in on Tuesday morning. He comes inside, he says, "There are a lot of cars in the parking lot." I said, "Yeah, there are." He goes, "Is it always this busy on a Tuesday?" I said, "This is actually a little slow for us today." And I had shared with him about our We Care Early Learning Ministry. I shared with him that we've opened up space for Central Christian to hold a few classes here. And I said, and we've got a building renovation going on right now. And this is all on top of just the general day-to-day church stuff. And he says, "This is impressive." He says, "I work with a lot of churches and a lot of nonprofits." He said, most of their beautiful buildings, they sit empty during the week. He says, "It's a little discouraging to walk into an empty church building." He said, "I walk into here and I feel life." He said, "I walk in here and you guys, whatever you're doing here," he said, "this is what a local community church should look like." And that's not a pat on my back or Pastor RT's back. That's praise to God. God's done all of this. He's worked through some great people, but it's God, it's not us. And I just want to encourage every single one of you. I thank you so much. I mean, we have such a great church family. When we put a call out and ask for volunteers, we get volunteers. When we go and help serve in another environment, in another ministry, and we ask for a few volunteers, you guys show up. And you make a difference. And it's wonderful to see God working through ordinary people in ordinary communities, in ordinary churches to do extraordinary things. So thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Julie. I guess that's all the questions I have, because we're done. Okay. I will say we do stay really busy and a lot going on, and the reason a lot of that's able to happen logistically is because Julie makes all those things happen behind the scenes. That's most of you will never see it, but if she doesn't do it, things tend to start falling apart. So she has been just a steady person that's keeping us moving in the right direction, helping us all along the way, always behind the scenes. So that's Julie, so everyone can put a face now when we talk about her. Since